Hi and welcome everyone. You're watching Feline Games and today I'm going to explain you everything about Hytale and what are the stuff we are getting in the early access. I have already purchased the early access and if you haven't already, you should, especially if you want special cosmetics that are going to be unavailable when the early access state is over. But first, we'll talk about Hytale's creative tools. They're a lot more advanced than what Mojang offers in Minecraft, and as far as I can see is modders and creative players are going to build a goddamn chat GPT inside Hytale on day one. There are multiple tools to choose from, like Paintbrush, Select Tool, Paste Tool, and deleting blocks, and also advanced importing, like .obj model importer, which seamlessly converts your model into blocks, and you can also configure the size of it beforehand. If you're familiar with the Minecraft mod Axiom, this is basically the same thing, but built right into the game. Now, the game itself, it's an RPG-driven exploration game with extremely good-looking and well-made combat mechanics. I know a little bit of bias right there, but when you actually see the work-in-progress footages or trailers, and you will understand why. By the way, if you didn't already know, Simon actually sold the intellectual property of Hytale and the team to Riot Games, and they switched from Java to C++ and rewrote the engine from ground up in late 2022. But since Riot Games sucks, as always, they messed up and ultimately canceled the game. And Simon, as a passionate guy, decided to take the matters into his own hands and revived his vision of non-pay-to-win game and modding, ultimately losing last 3 to 4 years of game development progress and returning to the legacy engine where Java was still a thing.
I'm not sure whether or not the world is infinite, but it's quite definitely procedurally generated, like Minecraft. For now, we know about 4 zones who are assigned with numbers instead of names, but they have finally revealed it. First is the zone named Emerald Grove, basically your plains biome in Minecraft, which is very much likely our starting point. Then the second one is the Howling Sands. At first glance, you might see nothing wrong with it, but as you explore, you will find many of the unsettling creatures and abandoned structures, or say dungeons. Forgot to mention, when you enter a new zone, there's a cool message pop up on your screen telling its name. Then we got Whisperfrost Frontiers, probably the biggest name out of all zones, which is a coldy region with glaciers, rivers, and icy structures, with monsters like Frostmaw from a Minecraft mod. While they might be similar, they are not the same. And the last one is Devastated Lands, respectively. This zone is full of volcanoes, lava, and no life because of the harsh conditions, I think. Apparently, zones are a bundle of regions composed of biomes. The first 3 zones have 4 regions each, and the last one has 2 regions as of now.
Simon has confirmed that he supports modding and creative works far more than Mojang. If you wanted to start a Hytale public server, you can. There will 0% revenue cut taken for the first 2 years. We don't know how much cut the team will take afterwards, but it's expected to not exceed 30%. And if you plan to run a private server purposefully for fun with friends and making SMP-like content, then you don't have to pay as long as you don't monetize the server. But you should be aware that you still need to have server hosting resources and infrastructure in order to run a server. Hytale developers have completely ditched their proprietary model maker as mentioned and chose the industry-standard low-poly model maker called Blockbench. And shortly after, they also announced that they're releasing a Hytale plugin to make model making seamless by making the export to be in appropriate formats and proper UV texture scales. Meanwhile, .blocky anim for animations and .blocky models are the extensions for prop models
models, character models, etc. About online play, players are able to host their own world to play with friends since your world is basically a local server and there's no knockback during PvP, but they plan to add it after the game is launched.
That's it for today's video. See you on the next one. Peace.